When I said in my Wasteland 2 review that it's nice to see more games with complexity come to consoles, there's a point where too much complexity ends up being obnoxious, and Divinity in places, not all of them, does exactly this. Divinity starts with you creating two main heroes for the story. With many classes and skills you can build some interesting characters, and it's advisable to have a pair that complement each other. You pick up NPC party members quite early on for the max party of 4 characters. Building and leveling a character is quite easy, as long as you're not a tit and put all your mage's points into strength and focus on bow and arrow techniques, you'll be fine. But to learn new skills you have to find and buy skill books in the world, so you may get a decent length into the game and your mage will still have the starting flare spell because you haven't stumbled on a new skill book yet. It is a more realistic way of learning skills, I appreciate that, but again it's something I can see pissing people off. The story starts off pretty generic and eventually gets lost in all the side quests you end up taking, and you'll need to take them to level up for story quests, the first of which is extremely obnoxious. The things the game expects you to figure out is just ridiculous. Here's a snippet of a quest guide from the first story quest in the game. I'll leave a link in the description.
Room that is kind of walled off from you. There's no way to get in. I'll run over here, grab the hams, and hit that button. It'll like move the bookcase Scooby-Doo style.
There's not even a hint in your log about the switch just mentioned there. Fair enough, you can stumble on these things by exploring, but most players are going to run out of patience very quickly. All round, this is a very slow-paced game. Your character moves at a snail's pace, battles often take planning and thinking, which makes the length drag on, but that was something I personally like, and quests are just very tiresome. Your log isn't much help, it will just say something like, go north. I understand people will like this kind of sense of discovery, and I'm not asking for a waypoint or anything, but a bit more tips on what the fuck you're meant to do would go a long way. Leveling also takes a very long time, giving you a very slow sense of progression. Speaking of the battle system, it's really cool. It's a turn-based action point based system. There's a big emphasis on manipulating the environment. Enemies standing in a puddle, electrocute the shit out of it and stun them. But much like Wasteland 2, occasionally it feels like enemies are playing by different rules to you. A lot of enemies seem to have a ridiculous amount of action points. They can move over great distances and attack multiple times in their first turn, whereas you seem very limited in the number of actions you can take. I also never saw the enemy manipulate the environment in my playthrough either. One skeleton blew up a barrel, but they never used oil slicks or water to their advantage, even when I purposely stood my whole party in a puddle. The console version includes split screen, and I must say it's the best implementation of it I've seen in a long time. I played with my girlfriend, who isn't a massive gamer, and she understood the battle system quite well, so battling is easy to get into, and it was easy to set up. And what's cool is your partner can be on the other side of the map battling demons whilst you investigate a murder in the nearby town. So you can pretty much have 2 games going at once, but obviously your party is split, so you're not as effective in fights unless you stick together. Though playing with a girlfriend or boyfriend, you may split up, because figuring out what you're meant to do in a lot of the quests will test any relationship. Graphically, environments look very nice, and it's even more impressive considering how much you can manipulate them. You can move pretty much any object you see, as long as you hit the strength requirements. Character models, on the other hand, look quite bad, which isn't a big negative since you see everything from a bird's eye view anyway, but when you zoom in they look like action figures. The voice acting goes from good to sexual assault, Medora's voice actor in particular, and I appreciated the game had a sense of humour. There's some genuinely funny dialogue, but it's not constant and annoying. There's no doubt there's a smashing game buried in here, and I caught glimpses of it, but you need a big time commitment for this game as it's a nightmarishly long one, and some patience. It's definitely unique compared to a lot of RPGs, so if you're looking for something different, it could be for you.